Imagine waking up and the sky is completely gone. Not because it's night, but because thick black clouds have swallowed everything above you. Rain crashes onto the ground so hard you can barely hear the person standing right next to you. You haven't eaten since yesterday. The hunting trail you spent hours following has vanished beneath sticky mud. The fire is getting weaker, and somewhere out there in the dark, hungry predators are looking for shelter too. The exact same shelter you're hiding in. Today, when it rains, you stay inside, scroll on your phone, maybe make a cup of coffee. But for almost all of human history, rain wasn't relaxing. It was one of nature's deadliest tests. And strangely enough, those terrifying rainy days may have helped create the human world we know today. Picture yourself living around 60,000 years ago. There are no waterproof jackets, no houses, no grocery stores waiting after the storm. Everything you need to survive exists outside. The animals, the fruit, the clean water, the firewood. When rain arrives, it doesn't just ruin your plans, it stops your entire life. A single day of heavy rain is difficult. 3 days can become dangerous. A full week, that could decide whether your family survives the season. Because rain attacks you in ways most people never think about. The first danger isn't hunger, it's your own body. Humans aren't built to stay wet for hours on end. The moment your skin stays soaked, your body starts losing heat fast. Even if the air doesn't feel freezing, hours of cold rain slowly steal your warmth. Your hands stop working properly. Your muscles get weak. Your thinking slows down. Little by little, your body begins shutting down. Now try imagining trying to hunt like that. Staying inside isn't much safer either. Most early humans lived in caves or beneath rocky cliffs. Those places kept out the wind until the rain became too heavy. Water poured down hillsides. Streams turned into rushing rivers. Small caves slowly filled with water. Some shelters flooded so badly that people never returned to them. Then came another problem, one with sharp teeth. Rain doesn't just force humans into shelter, it forces animals there too. Bears, hyenas, big cats. Every creature outside is searching for the exact same thing, a dry place, which means your cave isn't really yours. It's simply the first safe spot everyone is trying to grab. Imagine hearing heavy footsteps outside your cave in complete darkness. You don't know if it's another family or something that sees your family as dinner. And through all of this chaos, one thing mattered more than food, more than weapons, more than shelter itself. The fire. Today, making fire takes seconds. A lighter, a match, even your kitchen stove. Ancient humans had none of those. For thousands of years, losing a fire wasn't just annoying, it could be a death sentence. Many scientists believe early humans were much better at protecting an existing fire than starting a brand new one from scratch. That changes everything, because once those flames go out, you might not get them back for days, or even weeks. Without fire, the cave becomes freezing. Raw meat becomes harder to digest. Darkness arrives much earlier. Predators become bolder, and worst of all, hope starts disappearing with the last glowing ember. That's why, during long storms, someone always had one main job: protect the fire, nothing else. While others rested, someone stayed awake, feeding tiny sticks into the flames, shielding them from dripping water, searching for dry wood hidden deep beneath thick trees, breaking open wet logs to reach the dry wood trapped inside. Every single choice mattered, because they weren't just protecting a campfire, they were protecting tomorrow. Eventually, the rain keeps falling, hour after hour. There's no hunting, no traveling, no exploring. The outside world has completely shut down. So what do? You could just sit there and stare at the wall. Or you could start building a better future, and that's exactly what ancient humans chose to do. Because some of humanity's greatest inventions weren't created during successful hunts. They were born while listening to rain echo outside a cave entrance. The moment survival stopped being an immediate running emergency, something amazing happened. People got to work. Not hunting, not fighting, creating. Imagine sitting beside a fire that's been burning for days. Outside, rain crashes against the rocks. Inside, everyone finally has time. Time they almost never had. And humans are incredibly dangerous when they have time. Because this is where survival turned into invention. Look around the cave. Someone is carefully striking one stone against another, not to make sparks, but to shape a sharper blade. Every tiny piece that breaks away brings the tool closer to perfection. Nearby, another person smooths a piece of bone until it becomes a needle. Someone else twists long plant fibers together. One twist, then another, then another. Sounds boring, but after hundreds of twists, you suddenly have rope. That simple invention changes almost everything. Now you can tie stone heads onto wooden spears, build stronger shelters, carry heavy loads, create traps instead of chasing every animal yourself. One quiet afternoon of making rope could make your next hunt twice as successful. And that's something we rarely think about. The greatest inventions weren't always born from excitement. Sometimes they were born from bad weather. Rain also gave people something far more valuable than food. It gave them deep, uninterrupted focus. Think about your own life. When do you actually solve your biggest problems? Usually not when you're rushing around. It happens when everything finally slows down. Ancient humans were no different. Hours trapped inside turned into golden opportunities. They repaired broken tools, prepared hunting weapons, sewed animal hides together, organized supplies, even improved their sleeping areas. Archaeologists have found ancient caves with carefully laid layers of grass and soft plants used as beds. Some groups even replaced old bedding regularly instead of sleeping on the dirty ground. Imagine that. Tens of thousands of years ago, people weren't just trying not to die, they were trying to make life comfortable. That sounds surprisingly familiar because that's exactly what we do today whenever we're stuck indoors on a rainy day. Then, something even crazier happened, something that had nothing to do with basic survival. Someone picked up a piece of dark charcoal, walked over to the cave wall, and drew an animal. Not because it helped them hunt immediately, not because it gave them food, just because they wanted to. Across Europe, Africa, Asia, and Indonesia, caves still hold paintings made tens of thousands of years ago. Running horses, massive bison, powerful lions, hands pressed against stone. Even today, those paintings are breathtakingly detailed. The artists understood movement, muscles, shadows. They remembered animals they had watched hundreds of times and recreated them from pure memory. Imagine how many hours of staring at the wilderness that required. How many failed attempts came before the masterpieces. Creativity wasn't a luxury anymore. It had become part of being human. What's even wilder, many of these paintings weren't made near the safe, warm cave entrance. They were hidden deep underground, far away from any sunlight. People carried tiny, flickering flames into complete darkness, just to create something nobody needed for survival. Think about that. Outside, the rain kept falling. Inside, human imagination just kept growing. Maybe those long storms gave people something they rarely got. Silence. Enough silence to think. Enough time to imagine. Enough patience to create. But perhaps the greatest invention of all wasn't painted on cave walls. It couldn't be held in your hands. It couldn't be dug up by archaeologists because it disappeared the exact second it was spoken. Stories. Picture 20 people sitting tightly around a fire. The rain hasn't stopped for 2 whole days. Children can't sleep. Adults aren't working. Someone starts talking. Maybe it's about a giant animal they once tracked. Maybe it's a warning about a dangerous valley. Maybe it's the story of an ancestor who beat impossible odds. Soon, everyone is listening. The children remember every single word. Years later, those children tell that exact same story to their own kids. Generation after generation. Long before books ever existed, stories became humanity's first library. Every lesson, every mistake, every survival trick could travel through time without a single written word. A story could outlive the person who told it. And that is one of the most powerful technologies humans have ever invented. So while rain looked like it was stopping life, it was actually speeding up human progress. It slowed our feet down, but it supercharged our minds. Because the greatest advantage humans ever developed wasn't stronger muscles or sharper teeth. It was our ability to learn from each other, to improve, to pass knowledge forward. And every long storm gave them another chance to do just that. Here's the twist. Not every ancient human feared the rain. Sometimes they welcomed it, because the moment the storm cleared up, the entire landscape changed. That hard ground that used to hide every footprint turned into soft mud, and soft mud tells stories. Fresh deer tracks, a herd of wild horses, a lone boar walking toward a river, even the direction they were heading. To an experienced tracker, the ground turned into a map. Every footprint answered a question. How many animals passed by? How recently? Were they walking or running? Were they healthy or injured? After a long rainstorm, hunting often became easier than before. Nature had accidentally revealed its secrets. Rain also completely transformed the forest. Plants that were impossible to find a few days ago suddenly popped up. Wild mushrooms pushed through the soil overnight. Fresh berries ripened. Edible roots became easier to dig from the softened earth. Even bugs crawled out in massive numbers. To early humans, insects weren't pests. They were free food, packed with protein, easy to catch, and everywhere after heavy rain. Instead of chasing dangerous predators, sometimes dinner simply crawled right out of the ground for them. The smartest groups learned a golden rule. You don't fight nature, you adapt to it. Every season brought different opportunities. Every storm changed the rules. The people who noticed, those changes survived. The ones who didn't, quietly disappeared. When you step back and look at the big picture, rain wasn't stealing time from humans. It was giving them something far more valuable. Preparation. Those quiet days inside dark caves shaped everything that came after. The spear that brought down tomorrow's hunt was sharpened during yesterday's storm. The warm clothing that protected a child through winter was stitched together while rain hammered outside. The stories that taught future generations where to find food were told around a fire no one dared let go out. Even the artwork that still blows our minds today started on boring afternoons when leaving the cave was simply impossible. History books love to celebrate big battles, successful hunts, or massive discoveries. Real history is much quieter. Human civilization wasn't built only during moments of intense action. It was built during moments of waiting. And honestly, that hasn't changed as much as we think. Today, whenever life forces us to slow down, a rainy weekend, a delayed flight, a quiet evening with zero plans, our very first instinct is to run away from the silence. We grab our phones, open social media, scroll until hours vanish into nothing. But our ancestors did something completely different. They learned, they practiced, they created, they shared ideas, they prepared themselves for whatever came next. Those slow moments didn't make them weak. They made them brilliant. Maybe that's the biggest lesson ancient humans left behind for us. Sometimes true progress doesn't happen while you're running. Sometimes it happens while you're standing still. The next time rain taps against your window, remember this. Thousands of generations before you listened to that exact same sound. Not from a cozy modern house, but from the mouth of a dark cave. And while the storm raged outside, they quietly invented the future, including the exact world you're living in right now. If you enjoyed when uncovering hidden stories from ancient history, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more fascinating journeys into our forgotten past. And here's a quick question for you. If you had to spend an entire week trapped inside a prehistoric cave, what would you do to survive? Drop your answer in the comments below.